Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a new feature on my channel, and I don't really want to call it a critique. It's more looking at people's files, understanding what they've done and answering the questions in there. So for instance, with this one, a patron has contacted me asking how we would go about basically thickening these and creating a pipe across here. So there's a design intent. Now, what I'm hoping with this feature is that we can go through the files, look at the structure of the project, answer the questions, and also learn something about this project and how it's put together, and some improvements that we can make in there. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Let's go to the email and look at the design intent in there. So this email's come through. Hope this finds you well. If you have 5 minutes spare, could you look at this for me to turn it into a 2mm pipe all round? So straight away, we're looking at the 2mm pipe all round those sketch parts. So I use this as a technical drawing template to make rear and front gates on trailers. I would like to try 3D print them. Usually the frame is made from 2-inch pipe. 2 inches equals 2mm in scale for model trucks. I have a side to do, but that's square tube. So we can look at that with the profile. So I'm picking out the pipe and the profile. We'll pick out some design intent from this email as well. I won't push you with too many things at once. Don't worry. I get emails daily for requests, but I fast track Patreon requests in there. I've been making some still files for 3D print. Not sure if you're interested. Yep, really interested in 3D files, 3D print files, project files. I like looking through them. So it'd be great if you could send me those. One thing I'm going to do is take this, because I'm going to pick out some key points from this email. And I've got the file already open. So this is a file from the Patreon. And one thing good about FreeCAD is you can go Tools, Add Text Document. And this keeps the text document with the file. So you could put your design intent here, some project notes, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do is look through, and we're going to remove the background and focus on the key points. So we've got 2mm pipe all around. This one I feel is quite important as well. And there's a reason for that, because I've looked over to the left and I've noticed we've got this in here, a part. I'll come to that in a minute. So we like to 3D print as usual. The frame is made from, so I'm going to take that as well. Another design intent. And we'll take this one as well. And from that, we've got some notes here. So we can save that as well. Just save that off. We can rename that as well. So this is a design intent. So I just rename that to design intent, but we can leave it for the moment. Now going back to the part, it's quite interesting because at the moment we've got no padding or piping in here. And it's a part design. So we've got a body here, which is a part design object. If I double click on that, we go straight to the part design. The interesting thing is this part here. Now, I don't like making assumptions. That might be there for a reason. There's normally no reason to place a part, then a body inside, but it does create a separate container that you can do things with. For instance, let's come over to the draft workbench. Now, if you're into your laser cutting or actually multiple 3D prints, so laying out multiple 3D prints, and say, well, from our design intent, we can see here we've got, I use this as a technical drawing template to make rear and front gates on trailer. Well, we may want to print this twice. So rather than duplicating up in your slicer or some other program, what we can do is click on that part, come to modifications, come up to array tools and array. And well, let's go by 2 on the X, 2 on the Y, and OK that. And we get an array of that body. So inside that body, we've got array of the part, sorry, array of the part there. So you can do things like that with the part container. And this part container lives here, and it's available from this toolbar on all projects. So it has some use in that area. Also, let's just delete that. and bring back the part. Let's come out, let's just turn off the gridding and center our view. So let's make sure that's visible. There we go. This acts as another way of transforming. So we can transform this, and inside we have the body. So we can have multiple bodies in here over in the part design. So we have a new body, a new sketch, and I'm going to go along the XY plane and OK that. So now we've got two bodies in here. So if I create a circle in here, they're going to be on top of each other. And I'll transform that body, right click, transform this over to the right. Let's zoom out a bit. Might have done this a bit big. And OK, so we've got these two bodies here, body and body 001. That means if I click on this part and right click transform, I transform those as one. So it's a container to place extra containers in, and you can nest them in there. So that might be there as a design intent. If it's not, what we can just do is just delete that, and it's saying delete contents as well. We can just hit no. So for the time being, I'm assuming that it's not there for design intent, but if it is, we can just add it in. I don't like assuming, but we're just going to assume that for the time being. So we have a body, we have a sketch. Now let's have a look at the sketch and see what's inside. So we have a basic sketch in here. We've got a number of constraints to place this 12mm apart. What I'm looking at is, if we look at the sketch, we have symmetry across here. And we can see all of these are the same going along here. So we could save ourselves some time by sketching only half this side. But looking at the design intent, there's this bit about the technical drawing. So if I was using this technical drawing, we can actually use sketches in technical drawings. So let's come over to the tech drawer. So this is where you have to be careful with symmetry. If I was only doing one side, because we would have to do something extra with the technical drawing. Let's go to tech drawer, and we'll create a new technical drawing document. Not worried about the pages at the moment, what we're using for the template. And what we do is click on the sketch. So we select what we want in the technical drawing. Make sure our view is nicely placed. And we use this button here, insert view, or tech drawer insert view. That inserts this view into the technical drawing. So when I come down to the page, you can see we've got this in here. If we was doing this with symmetry, so let's come back into here and just delete that. If we was doing this with symmetry, then we have to be careful, because obviously if I come into here and let's just delete this one, and we'll delete these sides as well. So let's take these, select those two and delete. And we'll bring these back onto this line with a point on object constraint. So we can multi-select these. So select 3 of them, 3 points, and click on this line, point on line constraint. So it takes all those 3, place them on the line. So we've got that there. It's obviously not fully locked down as of yet. So we can take a length in here, place a length in there with a length constraint, 20mm. Okay, we've got some additional constraints in here. So we've got this 12mm going all the way up here. So these are all the same. So I'm just going to delete these, leaving one, and then take this one here. Now I see that's a single line. So what we can do to save our constraints, we can change that into a polyline. How's that constraint in there? Okay, that's good. So I'm going to delete this 12mm, remember that, and also we want the 4mm there. So I'm going to sketch by the side of it. So come into the polyline and we'll place one there, and the polyline, this will allow us to do what we've got in here. It just neatens up the sketch a little bit. So we've got those in there. So we want the 12mm. This one's 12mm. And we'll make all these equal. So selecting them all, making that equal. And also we've got the 4mm here. And we'll set this one to 4mm as well. Therefore we can delete this. Let's first have a look, see what distance. So this is 28mm, so we must remember that. Because when we delete this one and connect up these constraints, this should be on the line, point on line constraint. Some redundant constraints there, let's delete that. Might have already been on that line. And these need to be coincident. We can't do multiple coincident constraints, unfortunately. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to actually speed this up by taking these two and pressing C on the keyboard for coincident. Just connects those up. Finding these two. And then placing, I believe it was 28 millimeters there. We've got some constraints still to sort up here, which means that this one just needs vertical constraint. And I've missed the length in here, not sure what that was. Let's just place that in there. Of 2mm. There we go. So we've got that there. All constrained down, all ready to go. When we go back to saying we want this in a technical drawing, then obviously we haven't got the other side. So when we add that with our insert view, we only get one side. But we can solve that. So let's delete that view and come back to the body. I realise I haven't actually answered any of the questions yet. This is just some background. In the part, we can mirror sketches as well. So I could mirror this sketch using the mirror. I know it's a part design workflow we're doing with this with. We can still jump into the part and have parts using the part workbench and have those separate from the part design. So we'll mirror that over the YZ plane and okay that, so it's mirrored over the other side. When I select both of those, so we've got in here, we've got the sketch. If I click on this, this is actually this sketch here. So if I press the spacebar in here, the other one disappears as well. So these are linked. So if I control click both of those, first of all, we'll go into the tech drawer and then do insert view. If we look at our page, we get both sides actually inserted to that view. Anything that happens to this sketch because they're linked will get reflected in the mirror. So we have that option there. That means that I can come in and just hide the sketch mirror and work with this body up here. So we've got the separate mirror for our technical drawing if we want to keep that grid inside our page. So going back to the question, let's come back to the part design. First things first is make sure that that body, right click, toggle active body. If it's not bold, it's not active, so we need an active body. I need to place a profile to sweep around here. Now we're going to use something called the Additive Pipe. So going back to our design intent, we've got frames made up from 2-inch pipe. So straight away we can relate to what's in the part design for the Additive Pipe. Best idea with this is use an attach mode called Translate Origin. This allows me to target these vertices on here. So we go around to our front and we create our initial sketch. Make sure nothing's selected and create a sketch. And we're looking along the XZ plane. So come down XZ and OK. Now this is going to place me in not the right position, so I want to place a pipe around this part first. So we're going to do that first. Let's go for a circle and create a circle. Now this was 2mm, wasn't it? So we take the circle and come up. I've cranked the size of the icons up just to make it easier for people to see. And we'll set a diameter of 2mm. This profile can be what you want, so we can make a square in here for the square pipe, or we're just going to go for a circle for this one. I'm not sure what piping we want for around here, we're just going to go for a circle, but this profile can be changed. Now let's close that. At the moment the circle sits in the middle of origin here. So if I come up to view, toggle axis cross, you can see how it sits there. This is where sketch attach mode comes in handy. So we'll take the profile, which is this one here. Just do a quick rename on that for profile. And we can see the support is XZ plane and map mode is flat face. So we click on that and we can see our attachment modes. Let's move our screen over here. I'm going to click on plane, make sure it's saying selecting. We'll remove the contents. So we've got nothing in there. The profile is projected this way, so it's sitting pointing across. That means we can use the selecting and select this vertex. That moves that profile to that vertex, ready for the sweep or the additive pipe. So now we've got the profile in position. Had a tick on, so I just went edit, refresh, or Control R on Linux. It's different on Windows or Mac. So we've got our profile ready. What we need to do now is use a sweep. So part design, create an additive feature, and it's the additive pipe. So it's this one here, additive pipe. So the first thing it wants is select a feature that we want to do. This is going to be the profile. So we'll select the profile and OK that. Now we need to add the edges. So add edge and click the edges. Now these are going to be the edges, the individual edges here. So we'll select this one. And then we have to hit add edge again, unfortunately, and select this one. Unless it's changed, let's select one again. No. So add edge. And what we're doing is moving along, adding those edges. And we create this pipe that runs all the way through. Now be careful here because I'm just going to zoom out a bit and bring this around. And if I highlight that line, I can use my zoom and it will target that into the center. There we go. So add edge again. And we shouldn't have any translation problems. It should go nicely around there because we've got a nice curve there. And we'll add an edge again there. So we've got the first part of our pipe that goes around the outside. That's okay that. So we've got that one there. Our sketch disappears, which is fine because we can come into the additive pipe and look at what we got in here. So we've got the profile, we've got the sketch. So click on the sketch and press the spacebar. So we've got that now. Now we can do the same with these lines here, or we have another option, and that's use a transform. So we could do one and then transform that across. At this stage, we've also got the option to use different profiles. So for instance, I could use a square profile for this one. But we must make sure that they all connect up to the same object in the end. So let's see what happens. So we'll create another sketch. So if I haven't got anything selected, create another sketch. Let's have a look at our plane. So we're going to go from this side, the XZ plane, and I want to target this one this time, this point. So nothing selected, new sketch, XZ plane, this one here. Create the sketch. We'll keep it the same. We'll use a circle in here. So we'll come into here. We could copy the profile if we wanted to. I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to set this to 2 mil. Close that. So we've got our profile there. Again, we're going to take that sketch and move it to this point. So come into the map mode for that sketch and click in there, button on the end, clear out the contents of this field, make sure it's saying reference 1 and select this vertex. Make sure the button's saying selecting as well and click the vertex. So we've got translate origin there. Okay, that. And now we'll create the pipe. So we'll select the sketch this time, so it's already selected. That means when I do the pipe, let's take the pipe from the toolbar, the additive pipe. It's already got the profile in there, so let's start adding the edge. And let's select this edge, like so. And that connects straight up to that one. It's got to make a connection, otherwise it's going to make a multi-body object. And hit OK. So now we've got, as well as a nice connection to this part here, we've got this part. Again, the sketch has been made invisible, so we can see that sketch there. And it's just a case of repeating. So let's come around to this side. And the axis we're looking for to start with for our translate origin is the ZY. Or the YZ, always get them around the wrong way. So let's create a new sketch, make sure nothing's selected. The YZ and OK that. This time let's create a circle. Let's change the size of this time. Let's create a smaller diameter on here. So the diameter is of 1 millimeter. So we're just doing 1 millimeter for these ones, these runs. Close that and we can see that profile is sitting there. So click on it, create the additive pipe. Let's cancel that, we've missed a step, so we need to move this first. Otherwise, let me show you what happens if we don't move it. So click on it, additive pipe, add edge, this one, and it goes from whereabouts it is. So go from there. If we do get this, what we could do is hit OK. It's still valid because it's connected up. I'm going to come into this body and find that sketch that sits in the original additive pipe and just press the space bar so we can see that sketch in there. If that happens, then don't worry, we don't have to delete it because we'll just delete it and go back to this point here. Let's just Control Z that, place it in there. What we can do is come into the additive pipe, look down, and we see where it's connected to. So it's connected to the profile sketch 3. Come into this additive pipe and we'll find the profile in here, sketch 3. So this one here. See, the support is still the YZ plane. Map mode, flat face. Let's take that, clear out the plane, make sure it's saying selecting on the button, and then we can come in and select the vertex. When I OK that, looks like it hasn't done it. We can see ticks are in here, so we go to edit, refresh, and it moves into position. So it needed to be recomputed, and that moves into position. So for the next ones, we can carry on with the same process of adding a circle and creating the other pipes along here, or we could use a transform. So for that, I'm going to take the feature, this one here, come up to part design, apply a pattern and a linear pattern. At the moment, it's saying vertical to sketch axis. Let's change the length so we can see what's happening. So I'm just going to go 10 mil for the time being. So when we do 10 mil, we can see this red bar is here. So we can see it's on the wrong axis at the moment. We only got 2 occurrences, so let's set this to 4, so we can see those there. Let's change this to horizontal sketch axis. And we get those bars going across like so. And we can change the length. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 occurrences, which is right. And then we can set this to what we want. So 25 mil, forget what it was, 50. pull this back a bit. So it's whatever we want in here. So let's go for 45. And I'll just hit enter. That's the problem. So if we get this problem, we hit enter, we can just come in and just reduce this down and use the Control R or the refresh if we're in Windows. I've just done 4 there. Let's do 5 occurrences. And let's increase this, and we can place them where we want. So 48mm across it. So we get our grid. We finally do a mirror over to the other side. Now the trouble with this is if we try to mirror this linear pattern over to the other side, or this whole object over to the other side, we need to select all of them. So all the features, we're going to select the whole lot and mirror it. Using mirror, you can see that only additive and subtractive features can be transformed. So we do hit that problem if we was doing this linear pattern. If we do these individually, then we could mirror it, but it's not lost. So I know we have this body, we could mirror this over to the other side, over in the, say, in the part. So the final part will be coming to part, and then using that body in here and doing the mirroring from this, or part mirroring. And sometimes it's quite awkward to figure out what plane. So over the Y and Z, so we're jumping over this plane here, so I want it to mirror over here. So we come in, mirror YZ, and okay, that mirrors that over to the other side, like so. Therefore we've got the body mirror, but remember that we need to fuse these together. So taking these two, making sure we control click them, and we can fuse them together using the union. That's on part and Boolean union, or we could actually not even bother with that and export both those parts out as an STL. So take one, control click the other, so we've got to come into that body mirror and select the body within, and then come up to File, Export, and that will export both of those at the same time. And we just select the STL there, STL mesh, and save that off. We did a file import now and look for our gate. There we go. We have the rear gate there, so that is all one body with 2 components in. So it's up to you if you want to fuse those 2 together. Now, if we didn't want to do this via the mirroring, so let's take it back a level to where we started doing the mirroring, and we want to keep it all in the part design. So what I've done is I've gone back to the point where we had these 2 additive pipes. I'm going to show you something that you may not realize with this model. If we look at the model, we have these lines. Now, these aren't deviating from the normal along this line. So if we think about it, we don't need a sweep. We just need an extrude. So if we place a profile on here and extrude it, we'll make these connections. Therefore, let's come around to the YZ plane. And this will allow us to mirror because we're not using any patterns or anything like that in the part design. Let's make sure nothing's selected. Create a new sketch. YZ plane, okay that. And place a bit of angle, and that's bring in all these points. So I'm using the external geometry tool here and pulling in the points. That allows me to connect the circles on these points. Now I'm going to place the circles as 1mm again along there. It's up to you what you choose. Connect up to that point, bring it out, and what we need to do is do it for all of them. So I'm going to do 1mm along here. We could use an array, I suppose. We'll just add those in. I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to select all these circles. We've selected most of them, and select those two, and use a constraint against there of 1mm. So we can just about see those in there. So what we can now do is that we've got that there. We can use an extrude. So make sure that sketch is selected and use the pad, not the extrude, the pad. Everything's going to disappear because, well, it's not going all the way up to this point. If we look at the direction, we've got sketch normal, so it's normal to sketch. We can select a reference, and that's select this line here, and we need to bring this all the way up. So we're not sure what length this line is. So that's come in here and place 60. And we just go all the way up. It may be that it's in reverse. Let's try reverse. There we go. Selecting reverse, it went the wrong way, so it went this way. And that's bringing this down to the right length. Actually, we don't even need this, so we just use sketch normal in there. And we can move this down. So let's try 50. A bit more. 45. That sounds a bit familiar. Because it's made the connection with this one, that means it's one solid object. So if you follow this, connects to here and connects around. So this gapping doesn't matter. So that won't actually make a multi-body object because we already got this connection here. It's still one single body. So 50 went all the way through. So let's go to 48. There we go. So that's in there now. Therefore, we've got no mirrors, we've got no patterns in there. So we can do our mirror now. So let's hide all this. And we need to mirror the whole body over. So we need to select all of the features, the additive pipes and the pad. Control select all of those. And use the mirror or part design. And we create a pattern or apply a pattern mirrored. And we can see the way that's mirroring. It's mirroring across this direction. So look at our axis cross. So we can see that we've got the Y going this way and the Z going this way. So this is our base plane. This is sitting on. So we need to mirror over the base plane. So we drop this down and look at the YZ base plane. If you're not sure what plane to mirror across, just try the ones down here. And therefore we get our mirror all done in the part design. So we get a nice mirrored feature. And therefore we can take that mirrored feature and file, export to whatever STL we want. So there's a quick look at someone else's file, and what we've learned from there, well, we learned quite a bit, is that we can use the part feature to do the arraying. We've learned how to take that sketch and improve it with equality constraints. We've learned about mirroring, the problems with mirroring when you've got pattern features in there, and when we've got something like this straight line, we can use extrude to get over that. If I was trying to mirror this anyway, if I wanted this to mirror over this way, then we got some other options in there. But I think for this one, that's the best way to do it. Sometimes it might be worth using a part workbench workflow, because that is much more flexible in mirroring. And what we can do with that, we can make these as arrays, this as a mirror, etc. Or might even want to just go back to our original sketch where we had these and just apply each of these features as we see fit. So I hope that's helped the Patreon, and if you like this video, please let me know, and I will be doing more of those in the future. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again soon. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.